Today we're going to talk about how to use the Optifit hosel to make adjustments to your Callaway driver. Before we get into that, I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Really appreciate all the support here on YouTube. The great thing about Callaway drivers is it allows us to adjust our driver settings in 8 different ways without rotating the grip orientation or the shaft. Okay, so I can make an adjustment here and my grip will not change. So I use an aligned grip, which is huge because if I had a driver that I had to rotate the shaft to adjust it, this align would not be in the correct position. I'd have to get re-gripped every single time I change the setting of my driver, which is no good. But the great thing about the Callaway drivers here is they have 2 individual cogs that allow us to make adjustments without that grip rotating. So how does this work? Well, there's 2 individual cogs. One is going to be set for your draw or your neutral setting, which is going to be your lies, okay? Your lie angle, okay? The driver going this way. And the other settings are going to be the loft. Okay, so there's 4 different loft settings here. The first one is -1, so we're taking 1 degrees of loft off the driver. The second would be an S, which is standard loft or stated loft. Okay, so I have a 9-degree head here. This driver is set on N for neutral and S for stated loft. So this is a true 9 degrees of loft with a neutral lie angle. Okay, the other 2 options are +1 for adding 1 degree of loft or +2 for adding 2 degrees of loft. So we have 4 options for our lofts. Now when it comes to our lie angle, we have 2 options, N being neutral and D meaning draw. So draw is essentially the head becoming more upright. The head becoming a little more upright is going to produce a little more of a draw. Okay, so if you're somebody who needs to, or you're missing shots to the right, maybe you can really tell by your lie angle by the T that comes across the face. If you're seeing T marks, okay, say you're using a plastic T and you're seeing the white T marks kind of come on this angle here, right? A little more of an angle on the club face. It could mean your hands are a little bit high, okay? And which can produce a shot to the right. So a more upright face will help you with that. Now, here's how it works. It's pretty easy. You just stick your tool in the top here, loosen the screw, okay? Loosen that screw until we're able to pull the head off away from the shaft. On the bottom here, we're gonna have a white line, and on our head, we have a white line. So wherever we wanna move these cogs and set it, we have to align our desired position to those white lines. The easiest way of going about adjusting your driver is setting the loft first. Okay, so let's go to -1, a neutral lie angle, and a -1, okay? So that's how we would do it there. We'd stick the head back on and we tighten the screw until we heard 2 clicks. Very important to hear those 2 clicks. That makes sure your driver is nice and tight on the shaft. Now, there's one thing to understand here that not a lot of people talk about when you do adjust your loft. Adjusting your loft does move the face a little bit. So if I were to put -1 here for my loft, now I have a 9-degree head, that makes it an 8-degree head, that will open the face just a little bit. Okay, so that'll produce a little more of a shot that goes to the right. So if I do want to take a degree of loft off and then I start to see my ball go a little bit too far right, maybe a good option would be to go to -1, but also to the draw setting, okay? So that might produce a ball flight that's a little bit better, a little bit lower, and doesn't miss as far right. Now, if you're somebody who is missing your drives to the right, the one thing, like we said, we can not change the loft at all. So if we left the bottom cog on standard, but moved our top to D, which is draw, we're gonna have a little more of an upright face, and we're gonna produce a little more of a right to left ball flight. Now, if you're somebody who has it on draw and you're still missing shots to the right, well, you can also add a degree of loft. Okay, so put it to +1, and then go ahead and put it to D. Because -1 will open the face up just a little bit, but when we're adding a little bit of loft, that'll close the face just a little bit. So +1 and D is going to be the most draw bias setting on the club. Really good to do this with an actual professional fitter that knows your numbers, can look at your ball flight and can help you. But if you don't have a fitter with you and you're on the range, one thing you can do, instead of worrying about each individual setting here, you can try different settings until you see the ball flight that you like. That's the best part about doing this, is you can mess with it, you can adjust it. There's 8 different options that are gonna let you just experiment and have fun with it. So this can be a huge tool here. Now, we talked about the draw, making the club more upright. The other feature is neutral. There's no real way of flattening the club out, okay? So they do have options of changing the tip if you wanted to do that, but most golfers out there aren't gonna wanna more of a flat face, because that's gonna provide more of a miss to the right, okay? So, like I said, 8 different options here. I absolutely love the Optifit on the Callaway drivers. Very, very easy to use. For me, I'm gonna set this club back on stated loft and a neutral club head. I'm gonna line the head back up with the other line, take my tool out like I mentioned. We're gonna tighten, tighten, tighten till we hear 2 of those clicks. So take your Rogue driver, your Rogue ST, absolutely loving this thing so far. And if you're not loving your ball flight, try one of the different 8 settings to help you hit better shots. If you have any questions, post them in the comment section below. I'll be sure to answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope it helped you understand a little bit more about adjusting the hosel. If you haven't already, like I mentioned, please consider subscribing. It really means a lot to me. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.